Welcome to my channel Echoes of Coin. This tiny 1965 1-cent coin looks ordinary, but it was born during a nationwide coin crisis. Billions were minted, mint marks vanished, and the cost to make this penny nearly destroyed its own value. What secret does the 1965 cent really hide? The year 1965 stands as a quiet yet powerful turning point in the history of United States coinage. And the 1-cent coin of this year carries a story far deeper than its small copper surface suggests. At first glance, the 1965 1-cent coin may appear ordinary, almost invisible among the billions of coins that passed through American hands during the 20th century. Yet behind this modest appearance lies a tale shaped by political pressure, economic fear, public anxiety, and a nation struggling to adapt to rapid change. The 1965 1-cent coin exists at the crossroads of tradition and transformation, representing a moment when America was forced to rethink how its money was made, valued, and trusted. To understand the importance of the 1965 1-cent coin, it is essential to recognize the atmosphere of the United States during the mid-1960s. The country was experiencing enormous social, economic, and political shifts. The Cold War cast a long shadow over everyday life, while the Vietnam War escalated, placing increasing strain on government finances. At the same time, inflation was rising, industrial demand for metals was growing, and public confidence in coinage was beginning to weaken. These pressures did not merely affect paper money or large denominations. They reached even the smallest coin in circulation, the humble 1-cent piece. The design of the 1-cent coin in 1965 remained familiar, continuing the Lincoln cent design that had been introduced in 1909. Abraham Lincoln's portrait, dignified and solemn, still faced right on the obverse side, a symbol of unity, endurance, and American identity. By 1965, this design had already been in use for more than half a century, making it one of the most enduring coin designs in U.S. history. The reverse side still featured the Lincoln Memorial, a design introduced in 1959 to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. This pairing of Lincoln's portrait and his memorial reflected a deep sense of historical continuity, reassuring Americans that even in uncertain times, some symbols remained unchanged. Yet beneath this familiar design, the composition and production context of the 1965 1-cent coin told a very different story. The coin was still made primarily of copper, consisting of 95% copper and 5% zinc, a composition that had been standard for many years. However, the rising price of copper was becoming a serious concern. Industrial demand for copper was increasing rapidly due to its use in electrical wiring, manufacturing, and military equipment. As copper prices rose, the intrinsic metal value of the cent began to approach, and in some cases exceed, its face value. This created a dangerous situation where coins could be hoarded, melted down, or removed from circulation entirely. The U.S. government faced a dilemma. On one hand, changing the composition of the cent could disrupt public trust and create confusion. On the other hand, continuing to produce coins at a cost close to or higher than their face value was economically unsustainable. The year 1965 became a period of intense discussion and planning within the Treasury Department and the U.S. Mint. Although the most dramatic changes to coin composition would affect silver coins, the 1-cent coin was not immune to these broader monetary concerns. Another defining feature of the 1965 1-cent coin was the massive scale of its production. In response to widespread coin shortages across the country, the U.S. Mint significantly increased output. Americans were hoarding coins, especially silver denominations, fearing that rising metal prices would make them more valuable in the future. This hoarding behavior created severe shortages in everyday commerce. Vending machines, parking meters, and public transportation systems struggled to function due to the lack of available coins. Even though the cent contained no silver, it was still caught in this wave of hoarding and scarcity. To combat the shortage, the U.S. Mint struck an enormous number of 1-cent coins in 1965. The Philadelphia Mint alone produced billions of cents, making 1965 one of the highest mintage years for the Lincoln cent. These coins flooded the economy, ensuring that everyday transactions could continue. However, this massive production also had long-term consequences for collectors. The sheer number of 1965 cents in circulation meant that most examples would never become rare. Instead, their value would depend heavily on condition, mint errors, and exceptional preservation. One of the most intriguing aspects of the 1965 1-cent coin is the absence of a mint mark. During this period, all 1-cent coins struck at the Philadelphia Mint carried no mint mark, while the Denver Mint used a D. However, in 1965, the U.S. Mint temporarily removed mint marks from all coins, regardless of where they were produced. This decision was made to discourage coin hoarding and speculation. The government believed that collectors were saving coins based on mint marks, creating artificial scarcity. By removing mint marks, the mint hoped to make all coins appear identical and less desirable to hoard. As a result, 1965 1-cent coins struck at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints carry no mint mark, making it impossible to distinguish their origin by appearance alone. This unique policy makes the 1965 cent a fascinating example of how government intervention attempted to influence public behavior through coin design. It also adds a layer of mystery to the coin, as its birthplace is hidden, known only through internal mint records and production estimates. The quality of 1965 1-cent coins also reflects the urgency and pressure under which they were produced. With demand skyrocketing, the mint focused on quantity rather than perfection. Dies were often used longer than ideal, resulting in weaker strikes, less sharp details, and a higher frequency of minor imperfections. Many coins entered circulation with noticeable wear or flaws straight from the minting process. For collectors today, finding a 1965 cent in pristine, uncirculated condition with full luster and sharp details can be surprisingly difficult, despite the massive mintage. Errors and varieties play an important role in the story of the 1965 1-cent coin. While no major, officially recognized varieties dominate this year, numerous minor errors exist, including off-center strikes, die cracks, doubled dies, and planchet flaws. These errors occurred because of the intense production pace and the stress placed on minting equipment. Some of these error coins have become highly desirable among specialized collectors, commanding values far above the coin's face value and transforming an everyday object into a prized artifact. The cultural significance of the 1965 1-cent coin extends beyond its physical characteristics. It represents a moment when Americans were becoming increasingly aware of the fragility of money itself. Coins were no longer just tools for trade. They were objects of speculation, fear, and debate. Newspapers of the time frequently reported on coin shortages, rising metal prices, and government plans to change coin compositions. For many Americans, the simple act of receiving change became a reminder of larger economic uncertainties. In everyday life, the 1965 1-cent coin passed through countless hands. It jingled in pockets, rested in cash registers, and disappeared beneath couch cushions. It was given to children as allowance, dropped into donation jars, and tossed aside as nearly worthless. Yet each of these coins carried the weight of a nation's economic struggle and adaptation. The cent may have been small, but its role was immense, serving as a constant presence in daily transactions during a turbulent era. Collectors today often overlook the 1965 1-cent coin because of its perceived abundance and low value. However, serious numismatists understand that historical importance is not measured solely by rarity or price. The 1965 cent offers insight into government policy, industrial economics, public psychology, and the challenges of maintaining a stable currency. It is a tangible connection to a time when even the smallest denomination reflected the pressures facing the nation as decades passed. The 1965 1-cent coin continued to circulate alongside newer issues. Many were worn down until Lincoln's features softened and the Lincoln Memorial faded into abstraction. Others were saved accidentally, tucked away in jars or albums, waiting to be rediscovered. With the rise of modern coin collecting and online marketplaces, interest in mid-1960s coins has slowly grown, prompting renewed appreciation for their historical context. The 1-cent coin of 1965 also invites reflection on the future of the cent itself. Debates about the usefulness and cost of producing the penny have intensified in recent years. Critics argue that inflation has rendered the cent obsolete, while supporters emphasize its cultural and historical value. The 1965 cent stands as an early warning sign of these debates, a reminder that concerns about cost, efficiency, and relevance are not new. By examining the 1965 1-cent coin closely, one can see more than copper and design. One can see a nation grappling with change, balancing tradition with necessity, and attempting to maintain confidence in its monetary system. This coin is not just a relic of the past. It is a mirror reflecting the economic anxieties and policy decisions of its time. This story does not end here. The deeper implications, hidden varieties, collector perspectives, long-term value trends, and symbolic